Hello everyone, this is likely the final video on this map on the server. It's been a very fun year. Almost doesn't feel like a year, but we've really done a lot on this world. You may think this is a very weird spot to start out, but this is actually the original spawn. This little area around here is where all the original players spawned in. A lot of stuff has been taken down, like Vincent's big head right here, but it's relatively intact. We have our first mine that goes all the way down very gradually, and a sheep farm with all the sheep gone. Now, one thing I must clarify is that while I'm over in Old Spawn, I will be on a single player server. So, no one else will join, and this is an old map. This is actually the last backup that I had of the server before transferring it to the new hosting. And the reason for that is because on the new server, Old Spawn has fallen into a disarray. So this is while it was at its peak and it was at its greatest. So I'll be starting there. This lake was home to a few of our first houses. I'm pretty sure this is Nikki's first house. I might be mistaken. But if you hop over here, you can see my sister's too, our original house. Buffsky and Maggie H's. That was my old username that I used back when I played on 2 Builders, 2 Tools. Orange bed was mine. Red was hers. Still some wood left in the furnaces, but we stayed here for actually a while before finding a new place to move on to. Now, finding the location for the new spawn, well, not the new spawn, but a new spawn, took a few days. We were actually thriving over here, but we wanted to find a place where we could expand. Now, one thing I wanted to do that may have been a mistake is to build it in a was to build the new spawn in a mountain biome. While I thought it would look very cool and good, it would actually hinder construction a lot. Now, you'll be seeing a lot of people's different builds and stuff. I won't be going over all of them, but they're there for now. We'll be coming up here. This is my bakery. I built this a very long time ago when our economy was first starting out, and never really took off. Some people have bought some stuff, but I don't think anybody has ever bought sugar or eggs or pumpkins. Really, the only thing that happened was people stole from me, which meant that I really had to find a better way of selling things. Over here is our first cow farm, and it was just a pit, and it probably had 500 cows in here. Most of them are dead now, as you can see. And this ruin over here was the site of my friend Jakob's house, but one of the things that he did is after he had a huge house made of quartz, and it actually looked really good, but he wanted to move. So instead of leaving it and moving, he tore everything out. And that saddened me. I liked his house, and now it's gone. But can't really do anything about it. And let's go back on the trail. over here. This used to be a big mountain, but I cut it down. And I think the new terrain looks alright. There are some missing blocks here and there, but I think that's due from just people breaking it and not replacing it. Over here we have our enchanting station. One of the things is that no one ever really put an enchanting station in their own house, except maybe for Jakob. But this was the one everybody used. The grindstone was added later, after 1.14 came out. And over here, one of our founders on the server, Alex, Master A, this was his first house. And if you look at it now, this was his bedroom. And yes, as you can see, it looks quite awful. Reason being, we originally thought it was a grief, but then I think what happened was lightning struck it, and we don't have fire protection off, so it burnt down, and not a lot we can do about it. Instead of rebuilding, he decided to move houses. He also has a pretty large farm back here that I've used many times. Up there is one of the newer things around spawn. It's the Black Moon. Now, the Black Moon, it didn't take me too long to build, but it's one of my favorite builds. It's just a big black sphere, but inside, it's got the question, does the Black Moon howl? And it has many, many answers, as you can see. Now, coming down from the Black Moon, we will go to another founder of the server's house, my little sister Maggie. Now, Maggie does play on the server quite often and does have a few friends, but she doesn't live here anymore. She doesn't really live anywhere near here anymore, but she has a nice house, and I remember I pranked her by throwing a bunch of chickens in her house, and she took pretty much all of them and put them in this pen. There is one chick named Thick Chicken here, and that's her favorite chicken. She thought she died many times, but apparently she didn't. I do like the design of her house. Over here, we will go across this. This is Maggie's friend's Vi's house. She hasn't been on in quite a while. She has a interesting redstone contraption where she can choose who enters and leaves her home by this lever. This was her aquarium, her farm, more stuff. Doesn't really matter. Vi played on the server, but I don't think she's been on in a while. Going up and over this trail, we'll reach Nikki's house. Nikki is another founder of the server, although he's probably one of the founders that plays the least. He built this house, and I don't think he ever did anything with it. But one interesting thing to note is that he did have an ender chest, and one thing about the ender chest is that I never really built them and I never really used them, just because I think they're kind of a hassle, and well, they are undeniably useful. Whenever I did need to use it, his is the one I used. It's also a good thing to mention is that Alex's and Nikki's house both have these drop-down pools, and I think they based it off of each other. Now, coming over here, we actually reach the original, or the actual old spawn. New players or people without beds would spawn here, and they'd walk forward to look at this message board. And it had map art, it had all the factions on the server, it had the rules, and the Discord, and the mods. These are the original mods. Nikki wasn't a mod because he didn't play enough. And behind it is one of the biggest builds on the server for the longest time, is Stark Tower. It took a very long time to build it, but it's still not completely finished, and it likely never will be. But it's one of the main prime points, most recognizable aspects of the server, and it's got a lot of floors, and I'll go over them later, but first I'll finish the other things. In here is Vincent's shop. Vincent probably had the most successful shop. He sold the items that people actually wanted, and he even had a trash can. And he had an interesting system for mobs not coming in his house, which I thought was clever. He's very clever. He built some of the best things around this area. Also over here, I'm not sure completely where, but yeah, he does have a mending villager hidden, and that's the one I used. I don't think he meant for people to find it, but I did. This was his kind of living quarters for the longest time. He lived here. Going over here, we have a second shop. I never really got this one. He calls it the Thrifty Trading Station. And apparently you offer what you want. And basically, instead of setting a price, you just pay what you want. So it's like, these diamond boots, pay 5 diamonds, and it's yours. Although they're probably worth around 3 diamonds because they're almost broken. Or maybe 2. I never used this one just because I never really got it. And then a few things. This tower over here, there's another tower all the way over there. This house, and there's a house on top of the mountain. They were all built by Nikki, and they're kind of just to fill out the land. They're very cosmetic. No one ever lived here. No one ever used this house, but I do like the looks of them, and the wizard tower looked really nice. This is my house. I'll probably go to that after Stark Tower because it's quite large. Over here you have Vincent's sheep farm. One thing is that his racetrack originally was going to have gray wool all along it to make it actually look like a racetrack, but then he figured out that boats can't actually slide on ice if it's on gray wool, so he abandoned that idea. Up here we have the florist. I never really figured out who made this, but it looks nice. Okay, that's wonderful. Oh, that's great. As we go along here, we have the original New Penisland. This was Jody's first house, and yeah, it's not very good. Don't tell her I said that. Walking over here, we have one of Dalton's many houses. They look really nice. And over here we have one of the most active parts of the server and one of the least good looking, New Penisland. This has quite a few members. It's one of the biggest factions on the server. Philly Van Stone was a baby zombie riding a chicken that we had as a pet until it died. Over here is Lara's tower thing. It's very tall. I don't remember who built this house. I do like the look of it. And this was temporary home. And these two houses are Jody's original houses, and well, they don't look the greatest. She did put a lot of effort into them, and I give her kudos for that. There's another one of Dalton's nice looking houses, and that's the original New Penisland. Now we gotta travel over here, back out, and we'll cover some of the things on the outskirts of the city. one of the first things is the racetrack. Now, the racetrack was a project by Vincent. It's probably his longest project. He spent a lot of time working on it. And it's very fun. And we've had quite a few races on it. And you just go drifting. It takes a lot of skill to actually be good. As you can see, I'm not the greatest. But it's very, very fun, especially when having a competition with friends. I'm going to finish the lap and then I'll move on to the next thing. Vincent's probably the one person to have had the most ice mined on the server just to fill out this. Another thing on the outskirts of the server, or the city, is this. It originally was a lot harder to get to, but then Vincent built his racetrack. This was my original castle idea. I built it mainly because I was bored and someone took out that. But it's kind of small. It took me around a day to build. Call it Caurum Castello. It means something in Latin, I forgot what. And it's a very quaint area. You have this little overhang area. Each of these have a something in it, not a lot. There's 3 horses wandering out with each set of armor. There's a training yard and a small garden. Now under here is a very interesting area. This is my villager farm. And I never really got it working because they changed a lot of the mechanics and I never got it. And one thing is that I did have mob griefing off, and that did not allow them to break and harvest wheat. So it just fell into obsolete, and now there's a bunch of villagers here. There's a bunch of junk in these chests. Heading back over to spawn, we have Daniel's house. He's one of the richest people on the server, and he has this really weird thing. Kyle's house, I think he played for one day. But over here is a secret that not a lot of people know about. And to see it, it's just this one little snow thing. But you hop down, and it's actually a thing. Now, as we travel down this very watery elevator, we have a secret farm. Now, I based this off of a design by a YouTuber, I forgot who, but it basically gives you everything that you need. It has a bunch of stuff, enchanting table, curse words. It was originally supposed to have more, but the reason that we built it was to prepare for a war, and the war actually never came. Building new spawn helped delay it for a time, and I don't think it's ever going to come now. Heading back over here, there's not a lot to go over. I'll do some really quick honorable mentions. There's a long pathway over here to Vincent's original mob grinder, but once people started playing on it more often, it kind of fell into obsolete. No one really used it anymore. But he had a very interesting way of making sure that people have pay by having admittance tickets that you have to buy in his shop, and you can go up and down. And over here, if you travel over this really interesting wall, you have the Shadowed Dragons faction. Now, we had several small skirmishes with them now and then. They have a very large underground base, like extremely large. And we just kind of let them do their own thing. Now if you go down the river, oh, one more thing. This is probably the first structure built on the server. It was built by Alex, and this is where he got the first diamonds on the server. Heading down the river, me and Anders had an anarcho-primitivist base, and I think we did this right when 1.14 came out. And it was just a small base that we kind of made as a joke, but it was very fun to build, and we had a good time just kind of joking around, doing a lot of fun stuff. Yeah, and so that's pretty much everything around Old Spawn, except for the two biggest things that'll take the longest time. The first being Stark Tower. Now, going into Stark Tower, this is the kind of lobby. It has a lot of things about something called the Grand Bazaar. That's what I called the original trading system, but it never really worked. And it also had a place where you could buy Earth map arts, and a problem with it is that the oceans are red, and that's kind of a big problem. You can see all the floors. They were pretty much all sold out. Every time I built one, someone else bought it. And I'll be going over them one at a time. The bottom floor, floor -1, was never used, but I did like the look of it, and I was going to use it for information about the Grand Bazaar, but it never really worked out that way. This floor was my sister's floor, and this is where she had her shop. I used it a lot just because she had a bunch of books and quills, and it was the easiest place to get them. I didn't really want to make them myself. Which one was this? This is the new Penisland. Okay, this is the new Penisland area. Embassy, that's the word I'm looking for. And through this roof, you'll see what it is. I never really used it, but up here we have my good friend Spencer's house, or temporary house. He had a auto fishing thing that he AFK'd a whole lot on, and he had all his chests. Next floor, I think this floor was called Fire, and it was just a whole bunch of netherrack, and it was all lit on fire, and it was a train wreck. Oops. And oh, another thing about the floor, Fire, is that it was sold to Jack Durham, who then placed a bomb on the ceiling, and you'll see why. Is because floor 6 was the UN, and the UN is where we held a lot of meetings. None of them were actually productive, but you would stand up here and you would speak to the masses. Everybody of importance had a seat. You'll see them all here. Now, I'm not really sure who did the seating, but they look very, very good. Originally, it was just boats, and they got messy. We have all the resolutions. There were 3 resolutions that we came up with, aptly named Resolution 1, Resolution 2, and Resolution 3. Resolution 1 was us declaring war on Jack for violating the NAP, and the second one was definition of griefing, because Jacob griefed some things, or maybe we got in a fight, and to counter it we came up with a resolution. Resolution 3 was us deciding where new spawn would be, and those were the 3 resolutions. Floor 7 was just a viewing deck for anyone that didn't have a seat. Floor 8 was the embassy for Crucible Inc. It also had some shops that apparently there's not a lot in. But they were going to set up a currency system based on gold instead of iron, which was my currency system, but it never took off. Oops. Floor 10 isn't really anything. Floor 9 was sold to Dalton. He made it into another house. He probably has too many houses. Floor 10 isn't anything. Floor 11 is not a thing. And floor 12 isn't done yet. Going up, none of the other floors are done. And then this is the observation deck. Now the observation deck is special that it's just a big area, and a lot of things were done up here. A lot of PvP battles, a lot of PvP battles, messing around, test structures were built up here, and if you fell, you died. And up there was supposed to be the penthouse, but it never got built, sadly. And up here is the roof. Now, a special thing about the roof is it used to have a elytra launcher, and it was really cool. It was a launcher that would send you 10,000 blocks away. It was very, very efficient. But the server got griefed, and the elytra launcher was broken, and the boats that powered it went everywhere. And when I restored the backup, I don't think it backed up where the boats were, and so they were still everywhere. And the elytra launcher was broken, so we just took it down, and we never rebuilt it, sadly. Oh, I forgot to mention, this house sucks. It's called the Flat House, and I never really liked it. Next to it is Vincent's normal house, and it looks really good. I don't think it was ever finished properly, but it was probably one of the best houses on the server. It's huge, it's decorated, it's got good lighting, it's very good. Vincent's very talented. And so the last thing I want to mention about, or actually, again, I forgot some stuff. There are two more very important things. The first is Master A's bank. Now the bank was an idea. It was a very good idea, but it never took off the way we wanted it to. Basically, it was a way into a cave, and this cave was the bank, and it had a lot of special things. It had a cool pool, different things. In there was the vault. There we go. The vault, and you can flick the doors. It had a lot of redstone. Whatever. This area was the vault, and it got robbed a whole bunch of times. I kept a lot of things in my vault. We go out of here, and there's a few more things in here. One, there's stairs up to his house, but two is this is where he kept some special vaults, and one vault was our original DSU. It's basically a huge shitty storage system. Now we just threw all our junk in. Now that was the bank, and the final thing, old spawn, is worth mentioning, is my house. Now, to anyone that doesn't play on the server, it just looks like a small house, and it kind of is. You have a chest with a bunch of music discs and chunks someone threw in it, a couple furnaces, and upstairs you have my bed. What else is there? There's obviously a secret, and it's called my basement. You walk in here, and it's pretty dang large. And it's got a lot of redstone contraptions and areas, and it'll take a while to get through. So the first area is my storage room. Now, I based this off of a design by Etho. He's a very talented redstone artist, and he inspired a lot of what I've done. And I just kept all my stuff in it. And apparently some of my blocks of diamonds are missing. That's fine. Yeah, this is my main area. I spent a lot of time in here. And right across from the hall is my auto furnace system. Now, this is very cool that it used hopper minecarts, and they would go and they would fill them up automatically. So you just have to dump everything that you want in one spot, and it automatically does it, automatically puts it all in this chest. It was very fast, very efficient, and I liked it a lot. I was going to build a second one, but this was so good I never needed to. And then going out of that, you get to the main rotunda, and there's 3 hallways coming off the main rotunda. This one, and this one. This is the authorized personnel one. That's called the long hallway, and that's the one I never really did anything with. I'll go with the authorized personnel only first, probably because it's one of my favorite. It had farms. It had a melon and pumpkin farm. It had a cactus farm. It had a gunpowder farm. This used to be almost completely filled, and then I built a whole bunch of fireworks and TNT. It has a sugarcane farm, has a slime farm, and it has a nothing farm. Now, one thing that I do regret is not allowing us to see the farms in the way I built this. But the slime farm is your basic slime farm. The slime spawn, they're angry by this guy, and it takes a while, but eventually this guy will go up here into the cactus, die, and its remains stuffed into this chest. The gunpowder farm, basically these creepers are tired of the tagger, and they run away and they die. And I have it set because creepers are smaller, they can spawn in this room. So they're the only things that can spawn in this room, and so that's why we only get gunpowder and nothing else. I don't remember. I think Il Mango made this design, and it breaks every now and then. You just have to come in here and move the minecart, but it's very efficient. I like it. The only problem about it is that because it breaks all the time, there's always a lot of entities on the ground, and it causes a whole lot of lag. It's not based on any detection system, it's based on a hopper clock, which causes even more lag. This is one of the main lag generators around spawn. And so this is just a basic cactus farm and a basic sugarcane farm. There's nothing a whole lot interesting about that. Coming over here, we have my to-do list. And you can see it, none of these actually were finished, of course. This room has my auto concrete maker. I made a lot of concrete in here. It has this, which is nothing, and it has this, which it was supposed to be something. It's an elevator that brings you down, and every time you step on the pressure plate it goes up, so it's kind of a one person. So you just get shot up. I like it a lot. I forgot who made the design, but it's very nice. Now that's that hallway, and finally the long hallway. The long hallway is where basically most of my base was. This first room is, that sign's been there for ages. This first room is my pumpkin pie farm, and I made a lot of pumpkin pie. Most of it I gave away or sold, so not all of the chests are filled anymore, but let me look at my statistics. I've created 15,000 pumpkin pie. Like, if that's crazy. That's extremely insane. The next room is the portal room. It's a very nice portal where you close it, it turns off, and then you open it and it turns on. The only problem is that if you close it and then someone comes through, it creates a portal on the surface, so generally this never gets closed. And you have a map of old spawn. One thing I didn't go over was Bubba and Bacon. I'll probably do that really quick before we leave. And we have the original map art, and what I was going to do is an FBI map art. It's a map art of the FBI logo, but I never ended up finishing it. I was going to do a lot more. As you can see, there's a lot more room on this wall, but I never got to it. Map arts are a lot of work for not a lot of payoff, so I just ended up scrapping it all. Kind of sad. This room is just a snow farm. And then here is OPEX. OPEX is the most controversial single machine on the server. And you go down here and it doesn't look like a lot, but what OPEX stands for is overpowered experience. It's a machine that transfers cactus. It's broken right now, so I'll probably have to fix it eventually. I don't have a way to fix it though. I need a silk touch pickaxe. But it uses a 0-tick cactus farm and a carpet duper. I'll show you the carpet duper. It uses a 0-tick cactus farm and a carpet duper to smelt all the cactus, and it stores the experience. So you just leave it on and then you turn these levers off and you'll get easily 100 levels and fix all your armor that has mending. It's an extremely overpowered machine. The controversy arises with the amount of lag it produces. It will slow down and break the server. And one time someone left it on, me, and it messed up where the disposal system was not working. So 90,000 pieces of carpet gathered in that one block, and it killed the server, and it took around 3 or 4 hours to fix. It was not a fun day. Moving on, we have, let's start with this. This is the potion room. I think Mumbo Jumbo came up with this one, but it has all the potions that we use. It's got icons to see if there's stuff left, and back here we have the dog that guards it, and it's really simple. It's just a way to time everything, and you have the water bottle filling station, and I made a lot of potions. They're all organized. I made a lot of fire resistance potions for spending time in the nether. Across from it is the courthouse, and I really only built this for one-time use of divorcing Mitchell and Dalton. It was very fun. And the roof's broken. That's nice. This is the original auto fishing farm. People would come down here and spend hours just auto fishing. There's not a lot of loot left in here. But that was basically how we all got god armor with mending on it, was just fishing for books. Nothing. This is a wall, and I was kind of angry because behind this wall is one of Alex's builds. And I was angry because I couldn't put anything there. I wanted to put something there, but I couldn't because I didn't want to infringe on it. And so that's when I realized we're going to need to do something about this, and the way that I figured it out was by making a new spawn. Coming to the end here, we have my farm. I like this farm because it's very simple in how it works. You hit the lever and it harvests all the wheat. And it's got pretty much every crop that can work like that. Got carrots, potatoes. It's also got beetroot and netherwort, although netherwort doesn't automatically harvest, unfortunately. And this was how I got a lot of food. Across from that is my animal farm. These animals were very animalicious. A lot of wool. I probably had around 1,000 sheep in this one pen and another 1,000 in that pen. It lagged the server a whole lot, but I didn't really think it mattered. Over here we have my skeleton horse, Famine, and my house actually connects straight into the bank. So before we leave new spawn, I forgot to show you, this is odd, is over here. There's a whole nation run by one person, Jack Durham. It's called Bubba and Bacon. And to get there, there is a rail line. It doesn't take too long to get there, but after going through this was built by my sister, and she has a little storage facility back here. Um, it's very quaint, very nice. But as you cross this bridge, you are entering Bubba country, and we have some things. Jack likes making countries and stuff like that. He has a lot of stuff, but over here is his bed and breakfast. He'll say it was built by him, but it kind of was built by both of us. I built it for him, and then he declared independence, which is okay. Although we had a whole war about it. It's very empty, but one thing about it is this room. One thing that we built was the highway, or the racetrack. It was the original racetrack that inspired Vincent to do his. But it's a lot larger, but it's made of water. And we would start here, and we would go along and go along. This was actually a whole tunnel. And we'd go around and around, go through this village. It was a lot of fun racing people, because it took a long time to race. And so we'd do 1 or 2 laps, and whoever reached this dock first won. And one thing that you might see is this. I'll get to that later. So one thing that Jack really liked was making tunnels and railways, although I don't think he got too far with them. One thing that we had was a whole entire war, and the war was that he claimed pretty much everything south of the river, but there's a whole community called Meridia that's south, like 20,000 blocks south, but still south. And that they got all mixed up, and we had a war, and we limited his building to inside these pillars. We called it No Man's Land. And No Man's Land is where we had our war. And if we head this way, you can see the extent. I built flying machine TNT dupers and carpet bombed his country. And it's very simple how the carpet bombing works. If we head over here, as you can see, it's very long. It's just some TNT dupers, and I think I can activate it again. Oh god. If I hit this lever or push this button, they start to go, but I don't want that. I'll leave so it doesn't lag out completely. And that's Boba Country. It's very nice. Next, oh, this is another build by Nikki. Next, I'll show you something this way, and it's a project by me and Greg. It took us a very long time, and it was actually never completed. The main reason being is that I lost motivation. We're coming up on it now, and you can see it. It's my castle. It's huge, and there's a town underneath it with some walls. It's never completed, but it was gonna be so great. And I really love this. I built it, and I lost motivation for doing it. Because there wasn't a whole lot of purpose. It had no function other than looking cool. And I just didn't really feel like doing it. And I never came to visit it because I built it so far out of the way. This was going to be the yard. It's not done. It's nowhere close to being done. But there's a whole pathway. This was going to be a church, but I got the majority of it. Well, not the majority, but I got quite a bit of it. I got the main skeleton done. And this was all done by hand. I built it in a creative world, and then I made a schematic of it. And yeah, this is the throne room, and this is my chair that nobody's allowed to sit in. Now, moving over here, we have a very, very large area. These needed to be finished, but I never really did. But I like how it looks, even unfinished. It looks very majestic. And now I think that's everything near Old Spawn in the overworld. Let's go to the Nether. Now the Nether is very interesting. We never really had a specific hub, but there were a lot of different things, and one of the most important things was our ice highways. One of them was built by me, but most of them were built by my friend Mitchell Burris. And he did a very good job, and he spent a lot of time working on them. And I'm really glad for that. Let's see if I can get around here. As you can see, it kind of fell into disarray after we started moving. Alright. This was another hub that Vincent started to build, but after we started building highways, it kind of became harder to just go through it. This is the portal to my main base, the portal room I showed you. This is the way to a terracotta biome. This is the way to New Spawn. There's also a way to Kern's base, Jada's base. I probably won't be showing them just because they're built so far out of the way, but they're really cool. Very nice looking bases. And this is the way that we'll go next. It's the pathway to Meridia. Meridia is a faction. It really wasn't too large. Just a few people, but they probably had the nicest looking buildings on the server. They didn't have the problem of people just building their starter houses right around spawn. They had their own building rules, and is very high quality. Over here, actually first, I think this is it, yes. Over here is a project that I never really finished called the CAFO. And the CAFO was to get every breedable mob in the game and have 1,000 of them. And another thing about the CAFO was to get breed for god horses. I got quite a few different animals, but I never really got all of them as I wanted. And I never really got the god horse, but I did get quite a few. I forgot which one's the best. I had a naming system. I forgot how to read it, but basically a lot of the numbers are higher except for the last one, or the first one, I mean, which you want to be the lowest as they can. This had a S of 12, so I think that means it could run 100 blocks in 12 seconds. And then I had a horse testing station over here. It never really got finished or got to the point where I wanted it to. And another big problem was that this system for measuring speed was hindered by lag. So it never really worked the way it should, and it didn't really test the animal's speed as well as it should. That was a slight detour. Now we're actually going to Meridia. Get back to the highway and continue on. Meridia was built strangely 20,000 blocks away from spawn. I don't know why they made it so far away, and no one really liked the ice highway or how it worked. The elytra launcher was supposed to be a combat for that, but of course the elytra launcher was destroyed, and it never really got to the airport system that we wanted. We were going to have a whole bunch of airports that went everywhere, but we never got that. We got griefed, and nothing ever came of it. Now, we're reaching the end here. We're almost there. And we've arrived. Now, Meridia had several interesting things. The first being their flag. They really liked their flag. They also had a subway system. No, I won't be taking it. but I'll be showing you the first part. It's very, very nice, and basically it had a highway of getting to all the places in Meridia, but this is their main street, and we can go up it, and we can see some of their buildings. This right here is a bakery. Continuing along, we get to Dalton's main area. That's Dalton's house that he used a lot, and his barn. He farms pretty much everything. And how do you get to his basement? One of his best parts about his house was his basement. I'm not sure how. Here we go. He had a basement, and I get lost in it. It's a maze. But he had a lot of cool things in it. He and Frederick. Thank you, Khajiit. And he also had an aquarium. I don't know where it is. I probably won't be able to get to it because I want to make this a bit shorter. There was his farms. There's a really nice bridge. Look at that bridge. And then you get to where Mitchell's area is. And Mitchell's area had nice paths. That's kind of ugly. I don't know what that's for. But across the street from that is their town hall. And I think they were going to rebuild it, but I don't know if they ever got to it. Courtroom. They have their own bank. They have their own jail. Yes. And it's pretty nice. Now, one thing is that if you go over here, you get the embassy that I built. It's kind of ugly. I built it to be as invisible as possible because they told me that they wanted it to basically be invisible. They didn't want to see anything that I built. So I built it green out of wood and covered it in leaves so it just looks like a tree. And over there you can see Mitchell's waterfall. He spent a lot of time on it and it's very great. Now this is Mitchell's Island. I'm not sure why he built it, but it's huge. And underneath it is his farms and and his house. He's got a lot. He's got a lot of cool stuff. He's got a moose. There we go. He's got his own enchanting area. Wasn't very organized. He has 3 dragon heads because he kills the dragon a lot. And not sure where all these go, but he built a lot in his house. He had one of the first great houses. And there's one more place to show you, and that's Greg's base. Greg Gould. I'll do a flyby. He had a tiny house, but he had quite the farms. And he did a lot of terraforming. And there's not a lot here in Meridia. And to save time, I'll kill myself. Now, if we took the another highway, we would arrive in here. Now, one thing I'm going to do is that this is an old snapshot and new spawn hasn't really been made. So I'm going to get off of this and actually get on the server. Now, there we go. As you can see, spawn has entered a sort of disarray. Especially my house. I'll show you guys OPEX. Someone, I think, wanted to protest OPEX, so they did this, and they left this side. Anonymity is quite the blessing, wouldn't you agree? Consider this a warning. Whoever did this is a fucking retard. I'll just say that for certain. Now, that doesn't matter. If I go to spawn, we'll see new spawn, and I don't know what that's for. But new spawn, I think I showed the Citadel in one of my previous videos. It's huge, and we built it all, except the trees on top. We didn't do the trees. But it's got several different highways and several different things. One thing is that there's a lot of buildings around that people were making, and I feel kind of bad for resetting the server, but it really needed to be done. A lot of people were in a lot of projects, but people were running out of things to do. And I think it's been a year. I think now's a good time to reset the server. People were just bored, and they were just building to build, and that's never what you want to do. Let's go down. This is the underneath area. Not a whole lot to look there. Let's go west first. Now, these highways were also built by several different people. Greg Patterson built a lot of them. Mitchell built some. And they're very, very nice. I'm not sure. I think the west one. Yes, the west one goes into here. And as you can see, it's made out of end stone. But one problem about it is that it sticks out like a sore thumb. It's very ugly. Reaching the end, you fall down and you reach the end portal. Very nice. And this is a glitched villager outpost that never stops spawning pillagers. And every now and then you go through here and kill them all, but they always come back. Over here is someone's base. I've actually never seen this before. I don't know who did this. And you have, this was going to be my base, shared with Alex, and I think Greg wanted to be here too. As you can see, it never really got finished. I lost inspiration. Who was building all of this? It looks really nice. That's very nice. Now this isn't griefing. I just want to say that I already took a world download, so that's the final version of the map, and so none of this really matters. In fact, I can take, I'm not gonna, but this will still be here when I get the other thing, or the spectator world set up. But this looks really nice. But a lot of people, one of the things about this is that getting new spawn allowed people to spread out. They could do what they wanted farther than before. And what is this? Trev's farm? I think that's, not sure who. That's kind of close to spawn. That was west. Going east allows us to go to a very special place. Now, New Penisland in the old server, or the old spawn, was very bad, as you all saw. But the new one, New Penisland, oh god, it was very sophisticated, more so than it was before. Sign in. And got over here, and this is kind of pointless. I'm not a citizen, what am I doing? And you got over here, and you had a bunch of things. One, this is Lara's house. It looks alright. And you have Sarah's house. It looks pretty dang good. You have the Temple to Jah, I think. Praise Jah. you had, I think this was going to be like the central area, but they never really finished it. That's, whose house was this? I forget. And then you had Jody's new house. It looks quite sophisticated. Very high-end. And you had this. I'm not sure who built this, but it looks alright. Now that's one thing. Going over here, I might have skipped over it. Where is it? Oh no. Here it is. You have Spencer's new house. He looks really good. He has some redstone in it. Not sure exactly where it is. I think, is that it? No. But it replaces blocks, and it's very nice. This is Jody's village, and that's Jody's hotel that never really got anywhere. That was going to be Alex's new bank. It never got done. He lost inspiration. That's him. That's me. And there's a few more things. Going north, I don't really think there's anything. Oh, yeah, of course there is. Going north, you go far north enough. That's the first one, and you go far north enough. You reach this. This is Crucible Inc.'s new home base. It looks nice, but it never really got anywhere. And they claimed a large portion of land. And I think the only place we haven't gone is south. Now, south is quite interesting. Because if we go far enough, I'm not sure exactly where it is. We reached this huge snowy island. Now, what's special about this snowy island is that a whole faction claims most of it. Now, I have no idea where they are. Does this lead to it? Here it is. But they had quite a bit. They had this. No idea what that is. They had Yeet. They had whatever that is. That's a house. Not sure who built it. Most things I'm not sure who built it. They had a nice castle. I really liked their castle. I liked the design. It's very reminiscent of really, really old Minecraft when no one really... When people made castles that looked like this, it looks very, very rustic. And that's Nova Canada as their faction. There's probably more, but I'm not really familiar with this area, so I wouldn't know where to start looking. But let's go back to spawn. That's pretty much the world, our entire server. There's a lot that I missed out. I didn't show everybody's house. There's a few houses, Jada's house and Kern's old house especially. They had very, very, very nice looking houses, but I didn't show them just because they're so far out of the way. There's a lot that I didn't show, but I think now is a good time to say goodbye to everyone. If you stuck it through this far, I hope that you enjoy a new server. Or not the new server, but the new worlds. Hope you have a good school year. And goodbye.